So yesterday we were very struck by the aesthetics of this site. I mentioned it as being beautiful. Today I thought we might think a little bit more about the actual history and the politics of this site. And I thought you might maybe start us off by telling me a little bit about some of the preservation efforts here.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite interesting in the sense that, of course, we stand here today thinking that it should always be preserved and it's a uncontroversial issue. But it was some years before that became the case, before there was a consensus around the acceptance of this should be part of the urban landscape for a city that was very much in reconstruction. So up until the 1960s, there was a lot of debate within the city about the merits of keeping this, or whether it should be knocked down. This was a very expensive section of land of the city centre. There were a lot of commercial centres around, and we've got the hotels around us and a lot of the infrastructure. So it took some years before this was really agreed upon that this should be kept. And then, of course, it's it's kept as a ruin, and that's somewhat strange in the sense that ruins typically, particularly in the European imagination, represent the decay of time, and you've got a longevity of the interaction between nature and culture, and the decay of the built environment over time, and the reclaiming of that through forestry and landscape, and you see that on the pattern of structures and the ways in which buildings turn green as they become more ruinous. But this is frozen at a particular moment. It's the second at which the bomb exploded, and it's kept in that moment. And obviously that's because of the imperative to remember that particular moment for both for the city, for the country, and for humanity. And so a ruin that's frozen in time is somewhat unusual in that respect. And so a lot of effort's gone into conserving and managing that and stabilising that. So in the 60s, 70s, there were a number of studies conducted around the structural integrity of the building, and you can see some additional steel supports, reinforcements there. A lot of the brick and the stone would have had to be stabilised, and so that happened. And there was surveys done in the 70s and the 80s, and then right through up until 2002 and 2003, there was a third conservation program. And it's somewhat odd that I find it strange in that, and we were talking about this last night, the ways in which an event that was so powerfully destructive then turns into years and decades and thousands of hours of effort to conserve something at that strange moment of ultimate destruction.
Well, clearly there are a lot of forces involved, a lot of political forces that directed that. I mean, what I was going to say, I want to come back to that point because you are a professor of critical cultural heritage studies, and it was interesting that you yourself were wondering this. Why so much effort and questioning the very
contradictions.
We tend to work in a field where it's a given that this is a good and this is a necessary human activity. But what is interesting when I was hearing you saying that is thinking of Nagasaki, which we're going to visit next, where at the same time there are debates about what to do with this particular dome. There's a debate happening in Nagasaki about the cathedral. And in the end, the Catholics of that city do eventually push to completely reconstruct it, and some of the ruins are then taken to a site we'll see. And so Nagasaki doesn't have that frozen in time to the same extent.
Because they moved some of that cathedral?
They took some of the ruins and they placed them in a peace park that we'll see. But they rebuilt the cathedral, and that was a decision apparently. We'll learn more about it when we get there. Apparently taken by the community, and also involving, as I understand, some political pressure and it was related to relations with American agencies at the time.
And I think I'm sure it's the same there, but here you talk about the sort of the different actors in play and the different stakeholders that have an investment in the ways in which the reconstruction should take place. And here it's a strange combination where, as we spoke about yesterday, that this is not a memorial to destruction, it's a memorial to peace and global peace and the endurance of that across the world. And that also raises the interesting question for me, is this is a site in ruins, and what's it representing now? Is it in the 2015-16 time, where we've got so much destruction going on in the Middle East and so on and so forth, and a lot of tensions in East Asia? Is this a symbol of a ruins, peace in ruins? So late modernity's quest for intercultural dialogue and global security, and these things continually being challenged. And so what's this representing? More than just 1945, this represents the late 20th century.